The SEC title game is set. After a year of maybe it's A&M, maybe it's Ole Miss, maybe Texas shakes it up. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Once again on Championship Saturday in Atlanta, it's Georgia and Alabama. Number 4 versus number 10. Gunner Stockton versus Ty Simpson. Kirby Smart versus Kalen DeBoer. And a college football playoff spot hanging in the balance. We've got the full breakdown here, keys to victory, and our picks for the SEC title game. I'm your host, Nathan Johnson, alongside Brad Hopkins. It's time to break the huddle. Brad, this game just gives us goosebumps every single time. And this game is no different. Number 10, Alabama, 10-2 versus number 4, Georgia, 11-1. Alabama beat Georgia in their first road test for Ty Simpson in Athens, Georgia, earlier this year by a very close margin. I think the final score was what?
24-21.
Yeah, 24-21. So now heading into this game, Georgia, a 2.5-point favorite. Georgia, 5-7 against the spread. Alabama, 8-4 against the spread. Like I said, December 6th, 4 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Kirk will be on the call for this one. It's been announced. And I think the couple questions you got to ask yourself off the bat. Can Georgia finally flip the script in Atlanta? Or does Bama's fast start formula work again? And then also, does a 3-loss Bama team still make the college football playoff if they somehow pull this off? That's for the committee to answer on Championship Sunday, as we call it, or Reveal Sunday, whatever you want to call it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button while you're here. Really appreciate all the support. Help us get to 1,000 as soon as we can. Brad, let's talk about the big picture and rivalry context for these fans. Bama is 7-1 versus Georgia since 2018. Only loss against Georgia was in that national title game in, 2022? Mm-hmm. Big matchup this week. Again, including the win earlier in Athens in October, as we all remember, late September. DeBoer is 2-0 versus Kirby at Alabama, which is crazy because everyone thought the narrative was going to switch once Nick Saban left. Both on fast starts. 2024, Bama led 30-7 at half. This year, 24-14 at half. Controlled tempo, won by 3. And Georgia made a lot of mistakes, and Bama gave them plenty of chances to win. It's just who can execute better in the conference title game. People love to say Kirby has an Alabama problem, but he did beat Bama for Georgia's first natty in 40 years. This matchup always lives on that razor's edge. Stakes for this game. Georgia at number 4 is basically in the college football field. Win and you lock seeding. Lose and you're still very alive. Alabama at number 10 is sitting in that final at-large spot in the 12-team format. Win, SEC auto bid safe. Lose, third loss. You invite chaos and risk getting jumped by probably Alabama or Notre Dame. Interested to see how that one turns out. My question to the audience and for Brad out there, for the audience out there and for Brad next to me, if Alabama wins and finishes 11-2 with an SEC title, is there any world they're left out of it? Well, let me rephrase that. If Alabama loses and finishes 10-3 in the SEC title game, is there any world where they're left out of the 12-team playoff?
Hold on. So they'd be 9-3, right? They're 10 they would be 10. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Ask that again. We can cut that.
Yeah, you're good. If Alabama loses and finishes 10-3 after playing in the SEC title game, is there any world they're left out of a 12-team playoff game?
So probably going to take some heat from some Alabama fans. That's fine. If Alabama loses Saturday, they deserve to be left out. It would be a quality loss to Georgia in a title game. I get that. And I know there's going to be that narrative of the loser of conference title games shouldn't be left out. I get that. But bottom line, you lost to Oklahoma, in my opinion. And
Who's in the playoff?
And Oklahoma's in the playoff. They're a good team. That offense is abysmal.
Yeah.
And you lost at home. Okay, now I get it's the SEC. The SEC is cutthroat.
Great defense.
The SEC, Oklahoma has an elite defense.
Yeah.
You still lost to Oklahoma. You should have beat Oklahoma. Then there's Alabama has the Florida State problem. Florida State went 5-7. And I get it. That's Ty Simpson's very, very first career start. It's on the road again. Alabama with 3 losses does not deserve to go to the CFP. I'm going to live and die on that. I'm going to stand on the table and say they do not deserve to go. I don't think I just,
I
get it. They made the conference championship. They have some quality wins. I don't want to take that away. I mean, they beat a good Vanderbilt team. They beat this Georgia team in September. They have some good wins. To me, the Florida State win is really, really bad, and I get it. That was. It feels like ages ago, but 3 losses, you don't deserve to get in.
No, I agree completely. We're going to hear in the comments about it, so I'm interested to see what the fans' take is on it. Let's talk about Georgia for a minute, their identity and path to win. Structure it as, pretty much the structure for this is who is Georgia and what's the formula, right? We've seen Georgia win in multiple ways this year. We've seen them put up 35 against, was it 35 or 38 against Texas?
35-10 against Texas, yeah.
Against Texas. They won last week 16-9.
16-9,
against Georgia Tech, and what I thought was a show-off game for Georgia to come out and really put the nail in the coffin.
Probably, in my opinion, probably the best, considering an offense and a quarterback they've really struggled against. It was one of the best defensive performances we've seen from Georgia this year.
Yeah, I agree completely. Let's look at their offense for a minute, though. 415 yards per game, 41st in the nation, 32 points per game, ranked 35. So they're balanced. Not great, not bad. Balanced, 225 passing yards, 190 rushing. Their passing attack ranked in the top 70. Rushing attack ranked in the top 30. So, again, balanced. Not the best, not the worst. Time of possession, 33 minutes per game. That's crazy. 5th in FBS. They won a long physical game. Bobo always confuses me, and I know we're going to hear comments left and right, and I want to hear yours too. There's great play calls, and then there's play calls going, what are you doing? And it always seems like that inconsistent play calling, and it's like, what Mike Bobo is going to show up against Alabama? And will they trust Gunnar Stockton to just let it loose? Because I think in that first matchup, they were a little hesitant.
Yeah, to me, that first matchup, once again, probably going to take some heat from this. In my opinion, Georgia lost the game more than Alabama won the game. I think you go back to, I believe it was in the third quarter, Talon Taylor, the really talented true freshman who he's missed most of the season with injury, he drops the pass on the 5-yard line. And then, of course, in the fourth quarter, the decision to go fast. And Cash Jones looks like he's about to get on the edge to score. And Alabama, give credit to the Alabama edge guy. He made a fantastic play. But, Nate, that's 14 points sitting on the table right there. As bad as Georgia played in that game, specifically in the first half, especially defensively, Alabama started, I'm forgetting, but it was like 8 of 8 or 9 of 9 on third downs. Georgia shut them out in the second half. So there were plenty of opportunities for Georgia. Once again, not to take away, Alabama played great. Ty Simpson was really good. But to me, it was more about Georgia lost the game than Alabama won. I may take some heat in that. That's okay. That's my opinion, that Georgia left some points on the board.
Well, and that's the beauty of this matchup, right? Either team on any given Saturday has the ability to beat the other. It's just about execution and discipline. Defensively, though, for Georgia, they have really, really stepped it up. They started off kind of rough, and everyone's like, who is this Georgia defense? What's their identity? They have Kirby. They have Glenn Schumann. Like, they had all the pieces coaching-wise, and they've got elite talent. They're also the second youngest defense in college football.
That's a key point, yeah.
And so when you have young defenses like that, or offenses in any case, it takes time to progress over the year. We saw Texas' offense progress over the year. Absolutely. They were able to beat A&M on their home turf. So give credit where credit's due. Good teams progress over the years, over game after week after week throughout the season. Right now, they rank 13th nationally in overall defense, only giving up 290 yards per game, which is really great. Elite versus the run. They do not allow anyone to run the ball. 86 yards per game allowed, ranked 6th in the nation. And they're only giving up 16 points per game right now against some very good competition, I would say. And I would say against explosive offenses that like to push the ball down the field and are capable of doing so, capable of putting up big points. Both teams hold opponents to 73% red zone scores, tied 13th. Red zone equals war zone. It's going to be a crazy matchup in the trenches. And to me, it's like, and I don't know if Bobo's healthy on the offensive line.
From what I read, not expected to play.
So that plays a big factor.
That's huge, absolutely.
You lose your starting center.
Which, you're talking about, he is an elite run blocker, but he's making all the calls, all the checks, all the protections. him and Gunnar Stockton have a good relationship. That's a very, very big deal.
Yeah, they've got to get that figured out this Saturday. And another thing, too, is Georgia's had a lot of movement on that offensive line. And on the other side, Bama's had a lot of injuries in their run game. So it's going to be interesting to see how the run game plays a factor in this matchup specifically. We know both quarterbacks can sling it.
Right.
Starting with quarterback Gunnar Stockton, over 2,500 yards passing on the year, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, 70.1% completion rate, plus real legs in a football game. He's dangerous with his legs, and it's very scary because you don't know if he's going to get knocked out or if he's going to bulldoze the guy over. It's just like it could go either way every single time he starts to run. It's like, what's going to happen here?
Nate, one quick point I want to make here, coming into the Florida game, Gunnar had thrown 1 interception, and then we saw Florida, Texas, and Georgia Tech. So that's 3 out of the last 5 that he didn't throw a pick against Mississippi State. He didn't throw one. No, he did throw one against Charlotte. So, he's been a little bit more careless with the football. He's thrown 4 picks in his last 5 games, I believe. He's got to get that cleaned up. And look, I thought the early interception against Tech, I thought it messed with his mind a little bit.
I agree.
He was trigger shy. He did not want to let the football loose. Georgia was not very good offensively last Friday night. Need Gunnar to be a little bit more precise. I was at the Georgia Texas game. He threw that one into coverage.
Yeah, I was there too.
On Anthony. You were there as well. We were both there. He threw that one into coverage against Anthony Hill. And then in the Charlotte game and Tech game, it was just bad. I mean, I think all 3 times he was looking for a tight end over the middle of the field, and he was just late with it. If he does that against Alabama, that's a huge problem. Because Justin Jefferson and those Alabama linebackers are very, very talented. He's got to get that cleaned up.
Absolutely. They're also going to need to rely on their running back, Nate Frazier.
Yeah.
Straight out of Compton, as they say. 809 yards rushing on the year, 145 carries, 5 touchdowns. He's the workhorse. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's gotten enough credit.
He's been amazing the second half of the season.
He has done a phenomenal job. And then their star wide receiver, Zachariah Branch, 691 yards, 68 catches, 4 touchdowns, chain mover, and yards after catch threat. That dude can make some moves. He can make some guys miss. And next thing you know, he's off to the races. Yeah. I haven't seen him really make an explosive play this year in special teams. Curious to see if that happens in this game.
And that's a good point because we saw him. He was lethal at USC. I think teams have, been very, very cautious of him and very, very careful when punting him the football and kicking him.
Yeah, I was going to say, you almost have to ask yourself at some point, does it happen?
Yeah.
And we'll see Saturday.
He's been close a couple of times, but could be due one.
Last week against Georgia Tech, obviously we talked about the ugly rivalry win, 16-9. Stockton, 70 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 really bad pick, 42 yards rushing. Frazier, 108 yards on 16 carries. The ground game carried them. And their defense obviously was the difference in this one. That's Kirby ball. They can win 45-20. They can win 16-9 and be comfortable. Yeah. They can win like they did against Tennessee in overtime in the 40 digits. So it just depends on which team shows up. Key Georgia angles to hit though. Run game versus Bama front. That's got to be interesting. They ran for 227 yards on Bama in September and still lost. So it can't just be volume. It's execution on 3rd down and in the red zone. They got to finish drives. They got to play clean football. -1 in the turnover margin on the year. They got to force some turnovers, man. They got to play cleaner football. Bama +8 in the turnover margin. So they know how to capitalize. They also lead the country in quote, Kirby will lose his mind if you have dumb penalties. Even though the actual number is solid, 40.9 penalty yards per game, ranked 19th. So they're clean. But yeah, Kirby will lose it on the sideline. If Georgia protects the football, stays ahead of the chains, and actually finishes drives instead of stalling in the red zone, their rush attack plus front 7 is tailor-made to win this kind of game. My question to you, Brad, is do you trust Gunnar Stockton more with his arm or his legs in this one?
I think you're going to see a bounce-back game from Gunnar with his arm. But, man, look, we saw it against Texas last year when Gunnar had to come in for emergency duty against Texas after Carson Beck goes down. His legs are a factor. No, he's not gonna burn you for a 60-yard touchdown. But when Georgia's been highly efficient this year on offense, and Nate, I go back to that Texas game when Mike Bobo, he called a great game, but Gunner was dealing. His legs, man, made the difference. When he's able to pull the ball on read options, on RPOs, and then scrambles on third down, he invites contact. He does. We saw it. He had a good game with his legs on last Friday night against Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. He invites contact. I think his legs are going to be key in this one, especially if Alabama chooses to get blitz happy. If they choose to just come after him, if they get out of their rush lanes, Gunner can expose you.
Absolutely, yeah. Going to be interested to see how Bama covers him defensively. Let's talk about Bama. Starting with the offense, though, 404 yards per game on offense, 33 points per game. Ranked 26, pretty efficient. Heavier pass lean. We know Kalen DeBoer and what he likes to.
Right.
They like to sling the ball. When he was at Washington with Michael Penix, they like to throw the ball. They had a very good run game too.
Yeah.
But they love to throw the ball.
And I think that's a good point. They were, Kalen DeBoer's last year there at Washington, they were a very good pass team, but they still had a rush attack.
Yeah.
Alabama has not been able to run the ball this year. And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because we're going to talk about this, but that's not something you expect out of Alabama. We have not seen that they have struggled to run the ball this year. They've been bad running the football this year.
Very bad. That match is what we've seen. Like I said, DeBoer is fine winning games with Ty Simpson throwing it 40 times. Time possession 33, ranked 9th in FBS, despite the weak rushing game. So I'm curious to see how this one plays into their matchup against Georgia. Turnovers have been the difference, though, +8. Turnover margin on the year. Huge edge versus Georgia. Massive. Georgia's got to hold on to that football. Yeah. We've seen some careless mistakes. They're team leaders. Obviously, it starts with Ty Simpson. Everyone was wondering who this guy would be heading into this year. This guy was recruited by Nick Saban. So
he was a 5-star quarterback coming out.
He's a dual threat guy, too.
Dual threat guy. He's really good. I'm impressed with him.
Yeah, I got to tip my cap to him. Over 3,000 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, 4 picks, 65% completion rate. He's clutch, but he can be rattled by pressure and disguises, and that favors Georgia's defense.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Iron Bowl Saturday night, I was very impressed with DJ Durkin and the job that Auburn coaching staff did. They constantly got after Ty Simpson, and I thought you saw it a couple of times that they either didn't bring pressure or they weren't able to get to it. He's an assassin. He can absolutely carve you up. But I agree with you. I mean, we saw Oklahoma time and time again. Brent Venables dialed up pressure and forced Ty Simpson. I believe Ty Simpson had 2 picks in that game. I know he had a pick 6, but he may have had another one. But he can make some mistakes. He can be inaccurate if you bring pressure. Nate, something else we've seen as the year go on, Georgia and Glenn Schumann, because that young defense is starting to grow up. They're starting to bring more pressure. We saw it against Georgia Tech. We saw it against Arch in Texas. They're starting to bring more pressure, and I think that's going to be key Saturday night. In September, Georgia sat back a lot. They rushed 4. They did not hardly have pressure at all against Ty Simpson until the second half. I think that's going to change Saturday, and I think Georgia's going to be aggressive and ramp up that pressure from the get-go. Yeah,
their leading rusher is going to be out for this one, if not limited. He's still day-to-day at this point, at this time of recording. 493 yards on 123 carries for Jam Miller. Not a dominant bell cow, but solid. Interested to see how that plays into this one. Their leading receiver has come out of nowhere. Jeremy Bernard, not even the lead receiver on this team. And he has done an outstanding job this year. 700 yards on 51 catches, 6 touchdowns. Go-to target down the field. We thought Ryan Williams was going to have a breakout year, and he has just been lackluster.
I was about to say, Nate, this is a big talking point. And, I was reading some Alabama message boards this weekend and even today that Ryan Williams is probably the 3rd best receiver on this team right now, behind Jeremy Bernard and then Isaiah Horton, who's had a really, really good season.
He's come out.
But he's been fantastic. It's like Ryan Williams at the Iron Bowl, saw him multiple times on the sideline. He looked disengaged. I even saw something that, is he maybe portal bound? We were talking about this guy. He's probably the 2nd best receiver in college football coming in the year behind Jeremiah Smith. And, I mean, he's not even the 2nd best receiver on this team right now. So that's an interesting storyline, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of it probably has to do with defenses bracketing him.
Absolutely.
And giving Jeremy Bernard and Horton some targets. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, you're exactly right. They've got to find a way to get Ryan Williams healthy and focused in this game, because he was a big target last year in that win against Georgia. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see how he plays out in this one. We've already discussed the Iron Bowl, 27-20 win. Give credit to Auburn, like you said, and to me, I'll say this out front: if Auburn had just half of the offense that these other teams have, they probably would have won that game. Their defense was elite, and
defense was really good.
Their offense was awful.
Yeah.
So give credit to Auburn's defense, but they're about to make some changes there. We'll talk about it in another episode. Let's talk about the defense and Bama DNA now. They allow 282 yards per game, ranked 12th in the nation. So they're still solid under Womack's defense. Mm-hmm. Passing defense, 158 yards per game, ranked 8th, and that's their strength. Rush defense, 124 yards per game, ranked 36th. So still really good. The spot Georgia has to attack is their run defense. Yeah. Also strong in the red zone. They're 73% allowed on defense. So they play decent, you know. I think 3 things that we have to discuss heading into this game. Number 1, Bama's formula in both wins over Georgia under DeBoer. Start fast. Live on third down conversions and let that pass defense play downhill once they have a lead. Number 2, in Athens, they went 13 of 19 on third down. That is insane efficiency versus Kirby's defense. And number 3, if they do anything close to that again, Georgia's in big trouble. They just are. But I'm not betting on a 13 of 19 showing up twice. Very difficult to do.
Very, very difficult, yeah.
My question to you, Brad, is what scares you more if you're Georgia's defensive coordinator, Glenn Schumann? Ty Simpson's arm on third down and medium, or his legs and a quarterback run RPO?
Yeah, good question. To me, it's his arm, and it goes back to Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton, along with Romans. They're dangerous. They're difference makers. And Nate, I really, I've watched a lot of Ty Simpson this year. To me, where he makes a difference is he does push the ball downfield. But this Alabama offense, they live in 5 to 12 yards. It's that intermediate passing game where they just thrive in.
Yeah.
They just look for those small cracks, either in man coverage or zone, and they exploit them. And I think you've seen that Alabama, once again, they've been really, really good in pass protection. The run game's been non-existent, and so they do those short passes just to try to get the ball quick out of Tyson's hands and also get it in their playmakers' hands.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, there's so many matchups to watch on Saturday afternoon in this one. It's going to be electric. Yeah. I think another thing we have to look at is the matchups, the keys to win, keys to victory, and what to watch. Number 1, first quarter, right? Mm-hmm. Who comes out starting first? Last 2 Kirby versus DeBoer meetings, Alabama, like we mentioned before, up 28-0 and up 14-0. Georgia has won both second halves, but spotting Bama 2 scores is a dangerous habit.
Yep.
You got to start quick. I hear a lot, Georgia's a second half team. Georgia, well, that's great if you're playing Charlotte. That's great if you're playing Georgia Tech. You got to start fast. What did they do against Texas? They started fast.
Yeah.
And they won. So they got to start fast, and they got to put pressure on Ty Simpson. Secondly, if Georgia gets out of the first quarter within a field goal, either way, I actually like their chances the longer this game goes. Yeah. Third down and time possession, we can't emphasize it enough. Georgia is 46% on third down. Alabama has been living off of miracle third down conversions in this matchup. Both teams are top 10 in time of possession, something that has to give in this one. Whichever team can turn 3rd and 6 into 3rd and 2 all night is probably going to control this game and come out on top. Quarterback run game and hidden yardage. Georgia uses Stockton more as a design runner. Quarterback power, zone read, Q counter. They love to use his legs, and why wouldn't you with a bell cow like he is from North Georgia and Raven County? Alabama uses Simpson more as a selective runner, maybe 3 to 4 keepers a game, but they're often backbreaking in game-dire situations. Both can extend drives, and both can create explosives when the play breaks down. Turnovers and penalties. Georgia is more penalized and turnover-prone team this year compared to Alabama, who has had the cleaner sheet. Maybe it's favoritism for the refs. We won't get into that. That's another episode. In the first meeting, Georgia lost turnover and penalty battle at home. They can't have that happen again. I know it's neutral site in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, which they've struggled at. We'll see how that plays out in this one. If Georgia wins the turnover margin by 1 or more, I think they win the game. If they get negative again, we're probably talking about another Bama SEC crown. And that leads us to our predictions, Brad. Everyone wants to know. We both grew up in Georgia. we're going to keep this non-biased as much as we can. Georgia favored in this one again. I believe they were favored in the first matchup too by what, 6?
Yeah, it was something like that.
6.5, and I'm interested. Who comes out on top in Atlanta, Georgia for the SEC title? ABC 4 p.m. kickoff.
You know, Nate, there's a saying in football that it's hard to beat a team twice, and I truly believe that's going to ring true on Saturday. I think you're seeing a Georgia team that is starting to play its best ball. To me, though, I go back to really after that Florida game, this defense has started to become a Kirby defense. I mean, just they're attacking, they're creating havoc, they're creating turnovers. You mentioned it. Some of those young guys are really starting to grow. I mean, the freshmen and redshirt freshmen, they're not freshmen anymore. I mean, they're seasoned at this point, and I think it's going to be one of those games that you're going to see. I mean, the offenses are going to make plays, but it's going to be a defensive game. I'm going to take Georgia in this one. I just think this defense is starting to come together at the right moment. And Nate, one final point, and it hit me as you were going through Alabama. Alabama's 2 losses against a running quarterback in Tommy Castellanos and a running quarterback in Sean Mateer.
Yep.
I think Gunner has that kind of performance. I don't think he's going to run for 80 or 90 yards. I think he does enough. I think his legs keep Alabama honest. Zach Branch has some games. And Ellis Robinson, if you haven't watched this guy was the number 1 player in the country coming out a couple years ago. Look up his pick that he had against Georgia Tech.
Crazy.
These corners have grown. I think they match up a lot better this time around than they did in September. Give me the Bulldogs Saturday night. It's going to be close, but I just think Georgia's defense is peaking at the right time, and I think that's the difference.
Yeah. Kirby, Georgia, I want you to look me in the eye right now. This game is more important than a national championship game. I'm so sick and tired of people saying, well, Georgia lost the SEC, or they lost against Bama, but they're in the playoff. No, screw the playoff. I'm sorry, but I've been thinking about this all week. I've talked to my friends. Now I'm telling you as well. This game, something's got to give.
Yeah.
It's time. There's no more excuses. It's not the Nick Saban effect. It's not the Bama effect. Kirby, you've got to get your team ready, and you got to execute. Give me the Georgia Bulldogs in this one, because to me, this is a must-win game. And I got to be honest with you, Brad. I know I'm trying to stay non-biased in this one, but as a Georgia fan, we know that Crane and Company tries to keep it non-biased. They're diehard Auburn fans, right? Reality is everyone's a fan of someone, so I don't keep up with that crap in the comments about, oh, they're biased. Whatever it takes, Georgia's got to win this game. Whatever it takes. And I'll say this about Gunner, too. I've heard from a lot of people, you got to let Gunner play a high school type game. And what I mean by that is you got to let him use his legs more.
Yeah.
When Georgia allows Gunner to play like he's playing in Raven County, he plays outstanding. Mm-hmm. And I think you got to let him loose in this one. Don't play to not lose. Play to go win this game. And that's the key to victory for Georgia in this one. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be 24-21 again. I think both defenses are going to be feeling each other out or feeling the offense out on the other side of the ball for most of this game. But Georgia's got to come out with a turnover early in this one. They've got to get the momentum on their side early, and that's the key to victory. And they got to let Gunner sling it. They got to let Gunner play with confidence and make mistakes and live with it.
Yeah.
So give me the Georgia Bulldogs. Drop your score predictions down below. Let us know who you think comes out on top in this SEC title game on Saturday afternoon, 4 p.m. kickoff on ABC. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Help us to get to 1,000 subs. We really appreciate all the support. And be sure to tune in Friday night for our Break the Huddle After Dark episode, Tulane versus North Texas in the AC title game with in-game commentary and analysis. You won't want to miss out. We'll see you Friday night. It's time to Break the Huddle.